Kitsap County has around 250 miles of shoreline and at least a dozen answers to the question, where should I live? And if you're making a move from out of state, learning the difference between Bremerton, Silverdale, Poulsbo, Port Orchard, Kingston, Bainbridge Island from your couch in California or Texas is a lot. So I'm going to fix that today. Hi, I'm Cassandra Lopez. I've lived and worked here in Kitsap County for the last 26 years. I was stationed here at Naval Base Kitsap. That's how I ended up here. And when I separated, I just never left. And I help families who are relocating to the Kitsap County area every single week. And what I'm going to do in this video is open up Google Maps and give us a bird's eye view of Kitsap County, all the different locations and neighborhoods and proximities to places you may want to go, like Naval Base Kitsap, Bremerton, Bangor, Keyport, the Seattle ferry system, all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of get a better idea of the geography here and where might be a good fit for you. You'll get a breakdown of every major area, including who it might be best for, maybe some average price ranges, maybe some average commute times, and some things to know and look out for ahead of time before you actually decide on a location. So this is the outline of Kitsap County. As you can see, it's a peninsula surrounded by the Puget Sound and Hood Canal. And it's got a couple of other waterways that go up and in between it, like Fort Washington Narrows, Dyes Inlet, Sinclair Inlet, Oyster Bay, Finney Bay, all those places. As you can see here, Highway 3 and Highway 16 merge right here in Gorst, right between Port Orchard and Bremerton, but Highway 3 continues on, and that kind of like dissects the county. So Highway 3 goes all the way north through Poulsbo, terminates at 104, which is the Hood Canal Bridge. And it goes all the way south into Shelton, where it intersects with Highway 101. So it's a pretty long highway, but as it is, it kind of dissects Highway 3. So if you are traveling to work, commuting, like say from Port Orchard to Subbase Bangor and back, then you're likely taking Highway 3. And then we have Bainbridge Island. I love Bainbridge Island. It's Kitsap County, but it lives more like King County adjacent. King County is Seattle, which is right over here. So Bainbridge Island is just like one giant forest. It's really nice. It's got all these preserves and reserves and parks and things. And I like to point out our military installations because they are pretty much our largest employer and our largest economic anchor in this area. Active duty and civil service combined, there's nearly like 40,000 employees. So that's a pretty good section of the population. And that's not counting the people who come on, temp orders from like Norfolk or San Diego or Japan, where we all seem to like trade rotating doors with those three other installations and shipyards. Zone number 1 we're going to talk about is downtown Bremerton. There's a lot of misconceptions about downtown Bremerton and opinions, which I see all of your comments on my channel. So thank you for those. The word Bremerton alone kind of makes people nervous. If you haven't lived here before, maybe you've just heard things from like other people who have been stationed here or whatever. That said, people tend to write off Bremerton because they look at like one photo online or they hear a story about, a homeless encampment or something like that, and they completely write it off without realizing that Bremerton's actually like really, really large. Like if you have a Bremerton address, you're not going to be necessarily down here. There's some really, really lovely communities that are outside of downtown. But this downtown area is really, really great for people who work at the shipyard. So if you're active duty or civil service at PSNS, Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, this is great for walkability access. So median price point in this area is going to be like $450 to $475, kind of right in that range. It's a good mix of small homes. So you'll see, small 2-bed, 1-bath, 800 square foot homes, all the way up to enormous 4 to 5 bedroom homes that are like 2,500 square feet. These are all built on smaller city lots. And part of that block by block nuanced conversation is, these areas tend to be high turnover because they're highly concentrated with our active duty brothers and sisters. And so, maybe a lot of rentals happen here. So it really just depends on how well the property is being cared for, homeowner or renter, and what the neighborhood, itself looks like. So Manette is really, it's kind of like a neighborhood within a neighborhood. So it is considered East Bremerton. It does have Bremerton address, but It's not the same as like everywhere else in the community. It's not the same. It has its own little downtown area. It has a lot of fabulous waterfront down here at the point. East 11th Street was just totally redone. This whole downtown was just totally redone. There is no like one downside to Manette and maybe downtown Bremerton too. There is no dedicated grocery store. Affordability, the homes down here on the point are going to be like $1 million plus. But the interior homes, you can get a pretty great home for between $400 and $500. Some of the larger homes, that maybe it's a view property, not a waterfront property, would be maybe in the $600-700 range, depending on size and lot size and all of that. Wider streets, bigger lots over here than in downtown, so a little bit more room to breathe over here, which is super nice. So Silverdale is going to be your main shopping. Obviously, you can see all of the freeway access that hubs right here. And Highway 3 and Highway 303 intersect. It's got your Costco, Target. There's a post office, Best Buy, Ashley Furniture. All of these big box stores are here. And the recently renovated St. Michael Medical Center, which is going to be not only Kitsap County's premier healthcare facility, but also like Jefferson County, which is across the Canal Bridge, where you would find Port Ludlow and Port Townsend and Pilsene. We have a little bit more property, a little like bigger property, view property. This is where you have your $2 and $3 million homes on the water out here, and a little bit more room to breathe. The zoning's different. It's like a rural protected or a rural residential zoning versus like for example, urban low density would be, 5 to 9 units per acre. Whereas rural residential, R5, R10 could be, 1 home per 5 acres, 1 home per 10 acres. Silverdale is in the Central Kitsap School District. I forgot to mention previously, downtown Bremerton and Manette are both in the Bremerton District. Silverdale is in Central Kitsap. So it has Seakey High School, Seakey Middle School, and then tons of elementary schools just kind of around that feed into those two. So Silverdale is great if you, say, are stationed at Bangor, because you can see it's right here. You see where it says Olympic View. These are Silverdale communities. So all the way up into this green until it gets to the base. Those are all Silverdale addresses till about here-ish. This is Highway 308. We call this 308 gate to gate because it goes from Bangor Main Gate to Keyport Main Gate. Silverdale is within the urban growth area of Kitsap County, so there is a lot of new development going on. So you just kind of want to be mindful of that. If you have a property that's adjacent to raw land or raw forest, you just want to double check that, the zoning for that property. If it's urban low, then it may be purchased by a builder and developed at some point in the future. We're about halfway through the county, and if your head is just totally spinning with the different areas, trying to keep track of locations and geography and commute times and this sort of thing, that's completely normal. And if you end up buying in one of these locations before you knew much about it, that could lead to some unhappy situations down the road. So to help figure all that out ahead of time, I created this really cool neighborhood quiz. Walks you through a bunch of questions, kind of step by step, what you're looking for, what's important to you, your budget, all that sort of stuff. And then it'll match you with a few locations at the end that might work well for you and your lifestyle. So hop in the description. It's a link in the description. It's totally free to you. And I encourage you to check it out. It's a pretty fun tool I put together. Port Orchard is just across St. Clair Inlet from Bremerton. They can see each other from their respective coasts. Port Orchard has a foot ferry. So if you live kind of in this Annapolis or downtown Port Orchard area, you can walk or bike down to the waterfront down here and catch a little foot ferry. You can see the dotted lines. Those are the ferry routes. And the foot ferry drops you off right at the Bremerton dock, which is walking distance to PSNS and the IMF gate right there, right across the ferry terminal. So it's super duper convenient if you don't live in Bremerton, but you still need access to the shipyard. So this is a great alternative. It's a more affordable alternative. Port Orchard downtown, in this area tends to be a little bit more affordable than Bremerton, definitely more affordable than Silverdale. This whole area here where it's whited out, this is where the McCormick Master Plan is being currently developed. And they cleared all of this for, I want to say they're putting in like 2,500 homes. over the course of 6 years, 6 to 8 years. It's been going on for 5 years. And these are all going to be big national builders are coming in here, and they're just developing this whole thing out. It's all under the McCormick Master Plan. However, they have their own community names. This is the McCormick Village on this side. McCormick Village is going to have a tiny little boutique shopping center. Shopping center is a very strong word. It's going to be very small. And then on the other side is McCormick Trails, where they have 7 miles of trail systems through the neighborhood. But it's all under the umbrella of the McCormick Master Plan. These communities are accounting for the lion's share of the property values. Median price point is around $650 countywide, but a lot of it is because a lot of these properties in here are $700,000, $800,000 for the higher end builders, like Main View is one of them, or Pacific Lifestyle is another one. So those are some of the higher end homes that are contributing to the higher price point. However, if you come back over here to some of these older neighborhoods like downtown Port Orchard, or you come up here into these little tiny neighborhoods in Manchester, they're going to be more entry level, maybe between 400 and 500, maybe some below 4 if you can get a deal. All of this is Beach Road and Bay Street Beach Road, all of this to Watauga Beach. I mean, these are all $1 million properties. These are waterfront. Port Orchard's good for families who have horses, livestock, goats, pigs, that sort of thing. Alpacas are getting really, really common, which is kind of cool. Lots of livestock property out here. Or somebody who just wants a very, very rural, off the beaten path kind of lifestyle that is relatively affordable compared to somewhere else. So Poulsbo, this is where you're really going to start seeing the lifestyle premium. It's going to be a little more expensive. Property taxes are going to be a little bit higher. It's really great access to Bangor, though. So Poulsbo is really nice because it's little Norway. It's this charming little lovely Scandinavian town. It's got some really, summertime tourism is real in Poulsbo. It's a real thing. It's foot traffic, very crowded. Not in a bad way, but just fun crowded. They have concerts at the waterfront. So as I mentioned, Poulsbo's a little bit pricier. So, average price point is high sixes, right around 700. That's a little bit about Poulsbo. And then we have Kingston. Kingston's in my opinion, one of Kitsap County's best kept secrets. It's so small, but it's so quaint. And they have, it's really fun downtown. This is where the Kingston Farmers Market is. It's on Sundays. And this is where the Kingston Edmund Ferry is. So that's the state ferry. And then we also have the Kingston Seattle Fast Ferry. So this goes into Seattle proper for the fast ferry. Remember, walk on only, no cars on that one. But if you needed to access Seattle or the east side with a vehicle, you could pop into Edmonds, which is, right across. So if you're commuting from Kingston or Hansville or Indianola even, Suquamish, it gets a little closer. Poulsbo's nice and close. So, but if you're commuting to say Bangor Base, Kingston's going to start getting a little bit far. So this is maybe 25, 30 minutes to get out here. Same with Hansville, you're driving 25, 30 minutes to get up there. So if you wanted a 20-minute commute, this is really going to stretch that. You're not going to get quite there. So you may just want to consider somewhere in Poulsbo, up here in Lowfall. Maybe some might get you there, 20 minutes. That's about right. So a couple of different options in terms of location if you're trying to stick within that radius. But if we're sticking with North Kitsap, Kingston has its own high school. It's in the North Kitsap district, but it's Kingston High School and Kingston Middle School. So there's a couple of schools out here. There's a couple of schools in Poulsbo proper. And then everywhere else, families who have school-age kiddos up here are going to be bussed into those two locations. So Seebeck is the westernmost community of Kitsap County, right on the Hood Canal. Seebeck is really great if you are looking for something that's really rural, off the beaten path, but also has kind of this really unique type of luxury waterfront property. Right here on the waterfront, there's $3 million properties, and right over here in Lake Symington, which is technically Bremerton, but it's out there. There's $400,000 property. So there's such a wide range that you can't really point down, narrow down. One thing that may be appealing, that may or may not be appealing, may be a make or break deal for you, is a lot of properties out here are on a well and a septic system. In fact, all of them are on septics. Most of them are on wells. So you're going to have well water out here, on-site septic for that. So if you're averse to either one of those, then we may not want to be looking here. There are properties out here that can accommodate like horses or cows or alpacas or what have you. Another thing to consider about CBEC is that the weather patterns that come in off the coast are going to hit CBEC first. So I like to say CBEC gets the worst and the first weather. So it gets really, really snowy out here. If there's a snowstorm coming in, like most of it dumps on CBEC. And then it starts trickling off as it, gets more into the more urban areas. So if you're looking for, like a true Pacific Northwest lifestyle experience, this would be good for that. If you don't mind day trips for groceries, if you don't mind, longer commutes, then this might be a good area to explore. And if you're looking for a vacation home, this is a great place for a second home. Every single one of them has a buyer that it's right for and a buyer that it's wrong for. Picking the wrong location when you're moving from out of state could mean that you pick the wrong school district for your kiddos, or you pick the wrong commute for your job, or you pick the wrong neighborhood for your lifestyle. Any one of which could lead to some pretty unhappy situations and maybe some purchase regret on the back end. When you're trying to figure out what neighborhood actually fits your situation and you want to talk to somebody who's lived and worked here for 26 years, can kind of give you the insider info on how this community flows and how it works, feel free to schedule a call with me. My Calendly link is in the description below. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, and we can set up a strategy session for a place that might work well for you. I'll do my best to help you figure out what neighborhood works for your lifestyle and not one that just looks good on a map.